About a week ago, I published this poll here. A Dell Inspiron 6000 laptop that I received from a viewer. And it seems like pretty much everybody, actually, everybody who voted, wanted to see a video about it, even though it's not really necessarily worth making a video about. So that's what we're gonna do. Here it is. Now on the surface, it doesn't really look like too much of a basket case, which is what I called it. You know, it's got some scratches and whatever, but that's not really to be unexpected for a laptop of this age. Some of you will know that I do have an Inspiron 6400, which is right up there. Which is really the intended purpose of this, is to part this out and use it for that, because it's got a matte display, which we'll see in a second, and some of the functions are in better shape. Like these buttons here are definitely in much better condition than the ones in the 6400. You know, nothing terrifically, it actually looks pretty decent cosmetically. It's not too bad. And you can see the optical drive. I think there is some cracked plastic. Yeah, there's an instance of a crack right there. Look at the back, there's the fan, DC input, VGA. It's got an S-video out, 2 USB, there's a modem and Ethernet. It's actually got 1394, 2 more USB ports, an SD card reader, which is pretty nice. Headphone microphone. There's a PCMCIA card slot right here, which I believe has a blank in it. That's what that would be. Yeah, that's just a blank. And there's where the hard drive would go. Other than that, it doesn't look like there's really a whole lot of damage to the machine physically. Open it up, and you can see the matte display, which I tend to prefer over the glossy ones, not just because they're very much less reflective, but the backlight actually tends to be better on these. I always found that the glossy displays are very dim. There is a problem here, it's missing a key, and the little button's broken, so I don't even know if the key would even work. You can tell that it's been heavily used, because there's a shiny spot worn on this. There's some wear here. This is why we don't paint plastic silver anymore, because this tends to happen. This just looks like crap. So this plastic is probably like worthless. I hope I can separate these buttons from this. Well, the laptop just turned on. I didn't think the battery was good, but here you can see evidently it is. That is a neat feature of laptops of this age, is you can use them as CD players pretty much directly. That's why it's got these controls on it. I don't know if it works too well if you replace the optical drive with a different one. What I was told, well, I was told the screen was a little bit dead, but it looks okay to me. Maybe a little dim, but it's not pink or anything, so. But I was told the keyboard does not work at all, and that the keyboard was broken. The keyboard connector is broken. Now, I don't know what that means, if it's broken on the motherboard or if it's broken on the actual keyboard, because I haven't taken this apart yet. But we can go ahead and power it up. I guess the battery is good enough to let me do that. So you can see Inspiron 6000. I want to go into setup. Oh, I can't go into setup because the keyboard doesn't work. Forgot about that. Well, that's brilliant. I don't really intend to keep this as a working laptop. Not the least of which is because it's really nothing special at all. I've got plenty of Pentium M laptops. I don't need this one. In addition to the broken keyboard, because it would cost me money to replace this keyboard if it is the keyboard, and it would cost me even more money to replace the motherboard if it's the motherboard. I've never seen anybody manage to break the keyboard connector off of a motherboard, but who knows, really. The other thing about this that's really kind of going to be expensive if I try to fix it is I have the hard drive cage, but there's no hard drive, which is fine. There's no RAM either. But the problem with this is that this is an old enough system that it needs an IDE drive, and in order to use the IDE drive, there's a little plastic adapter bracket that goes on the drive itself, and I don't have that, so I can't install a hard drive in here even if I wanted to. So I'm going to get a USB keyboard and hope that that'll actually work to get me into setup. Unfortunately, my stash of USB keyboards is pretty much at 0 right now, so I have to use this Apple keyboard, but it should work, at least for what I'm trying to do with it. Yeah, preparing to enter setup, so it does actually work. I'm not sure why it wants to do a RAM test every time unless the CMOS battery's dead. Battery is critically low. Oh no. Whatever are we going to do about that? I did go ahead and plug it in. Internal HDD hard error. Jeez. Okay, so we got an Inspiron 6000, BIOS revision A09. I don't know if that's the latest BIOS for this thing. I don't really care, because it doesn't really matter. I'm not keeping the machine anyway. It's a Pentium M. I thought that it would be new enough to be a Core Duo, but it's not. It's only a Pentium M, 1.6 gigahertz. It does have an, oh, sorry, not an 800 megahertz front-side bus. That's the minimum clock speed. 2 megs of cache, not hyper-threaded. Of course, I don't think there were any hyper-threaded Pentium M's, because it's a Pentium-free design, and hyper-threading was a Pentium 4 thing. It's got 2 gigs of RAM in it. That's just out of my own collection. It's just random stuff that I grabbed that actually worked in this machine. So, you can see no hard drive. CDRW DVD combo. Does it not actually burn DVDs? Is it just a DVD-ROM? It is just a DVD-ROM. I thought it was better than that, but it doesn't really matter. It's got the Intel graphics, so at least it's got that going for it. It's not the NVIDIA garbage that used to die. 1280 by 800 native resolution, which is pretty decent. Sigma Trash audio. Intel wireless. It does actually still have the Wi-Fi card in it, so that's useful. 0%, and of course the battery is junk. I think the CMOS battery is good, so there's another good part out of this. So I'm going to hook it up to my network, see if it will boot anything at all, and see where we go from there. Because I want to see if the trackpad actually works, and I want to boot to the network. Let's see if it'll actually do it. See if that thing is actually running, which it is. So let's go ahead, boot up a Linux distro. I don't know. It's not 64-bit compatible, I can tell you that, so that's not going to work. Let's just boot one. And hopefully it will actually boot on this machine. I don't know if Linux Mint 19 will boot on something as old as a Pentium M. I guess we can find out. It is booting. That's pretty neat. And here we go. The hard drive light is on solid. I guess I tried to access it, and that obviously didn't work. Let's see, does the trackpad actually work? It does, okay. So that's good. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is working. So I think the machine is, it's a functional machine. There's nothing overtly wrong with it other than the fact the keyboard doesn't work. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna shut it off. I want to check out what the status is with this keyboard. So if it's the keyboard that's broken or if it's the motherboard. Okay, now these are pretty easy to remove the keyboard on. Just have to flip that down, and then this pops up. So you can get underneath it in order to actually pop it up. I don't like using metal tools to do this because it can mar the plastic, but this just comes off. And you do need a screwdriver to remove the actual keyboard itself. It's pretty easy. It's just the 2 screws. That is really bright. Pull that out, and we should be able to get the keyboard out, which just kind of pops out. And oh dear, they did. They did actually manage to rip the keyboard connector straight off of the motherboard. I'd love to know how somebody manages to do that. That's impressive, actually. Huh. Wow. Well, okay. I don't envision anybody wanting this keyboard just because the key is busted, but I don't really want it either. I may keep it around as an extra. Like if a keyboard completely dies, I might give this one a try. I don't know. I may just toss it because it is broken. But it gives us access to some other things here. It'd be very easy to pull out this display. Very easy to pull out this display, which I probably am just going to do. Pull out these connections. This mini PCI wireless card. Which is what? What card is this? Lead-free. What does that model say? 2200 BG. That's not bad. So, alright, there's some usable parts here. A lot of usable parts here. Obviously, I'm never going to be able to fix it without replacing this motherboard, which I'm not going to do because that's just an immense waste of time. So, and an immense waste of money, especially on a Pentium M system like this. Even if this were like a Core 2 Duo, I don't think I'd waste my time, because you can get better machines than that now for basically nothing. So, I'm going to just strip it for parts, which is what I was going to do anyway. Maybe at some point I'll make a video switching the display with the Inspiron 6400, because that's what I'm probably going to do. Just because I like this matte display better, and I think it probably works a little bit better. I think the backlight on that glossy display on that one up there is kind of a little weak. It's not pink, but I think it might be a little bit weaker than this. And the backlight on this, on these matte displays, tends to be brighter, so I'll pull the parts out and we'll see where we go from there. But that's it for this video, so thank you for watching. If you wanted to watch the video of an Inspiron 6000, I should say, that's what this is. Here's your video.